All right, I believe it's, yep, there we go, recording. All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the second ecosystem session. We've got Eric Yang from Junto here today with us. And I'm David Atkinson, Commercial Director of Holochain. So g'day Eric, how you going?
Doing well, man. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again too. So just jump into it. Tell us a little bit about Junto, what it is and how it works, just for those who aren't in the loop.
Yeah, so we are creating a new social media platform to rebalance our relationship with technology and ultimately just taking a holistic approach of, leveraging more human-centered design, distributed technology like Holochain, and a nonprofit approach to achieve that.
Cool. All right. So tell me a little bit about, like, what do you believe about the world that makes what you're doing so important?
It's a big question. Well, I think that, social media has been responsible for a lot of the issues that we see when it comes to divisiveness, mental health concerns, privacy concerns, our addiction to technology, and our increasingly narrowing perspectives and viewpoints. And all of this has contributed to increasing lack of trust in our social fabrics and lack of empathy and how we relate to one another. And not to say that, these platforms and technologies haven't done tremendous good and democratized like distribution of information and connected people at a far greater capacity than we have known before, which they certainly have. I just think that, the evolution of where we're headed needs to really kind of patch up a lot of the things that we've come to ignore. And so, I think it's largely a business model issue where these platforms are incentivized to make decisions that ultimately feed their bottom line and their obligation to public fiduciary investors. They have a fiduciary obligation to their investors to do so, which is, trickled down into the certain decisions that they've made. So we're here to kind of help alleviate some of that and provide an alternative to, some of the platforms we've come to know today.
Awesome, thank you. And then what do you believe about yourself, or like what that makes you really want to tackle this problem and bring an alternate solution to the world?
Yeah. I mean, for me, this has been a pretty personal journey in terms of how all of this has come about. I think that growing up for myself, and I can safely speak for many others as well, it's, a constant struggle of how can you shed the externalities that have been imposed on you, whether through stereotypes, whether through expectations of society, what it means to be a certain type of individual. I think that we all struggle in some way to really find what our most authentic form of expression is, like what the freest form of our expression is. And it's through that personal journey that I've come to create this project, because this is ultimately what we're trying to facilitate. Right? How can we create a space where people feel fully free in being themselves, being able to connect with others on a deeper level, being free from a lot of the commercial aspects that come to dilute our interactions, being free from, corporate interests that tend to just utilize our information and data to fuel machine learning algorithms that can predict and manipulate our behavior. So it's really about creating a clean space where the purpose of social media can really happen, which is just to connect and express and to, coordinate at local or global scales. And so, I think I'm personally driven by the fact that this has been an ongoing thing for myself, and I'd like to see that for other people as well.
Do you know like what in particular makes it matter so much to you? Because I imagine there's a lot of people who go like, oh, hey, this is a big deal, but they're still just going to jump on Facebook at the end of the day because it's where everyone else is.
Right. And, you know, we have to start somewhere. And, you know, I think there's a decent amount of people and that number is growing every day with a lot of the things that are coming to light with these other platforms. You know, that we'll have to create the network effects to encourage other people to come on board as well. So we're still at the very early stages of things, for sure.
And then what drew you to Holochain?
I think that the philosophy that you guys have feels very aligned, and the architectural decisions that you guys have made, especially when it comes to looking to nature for inspiration and how to create scalable solutions. The pattern, the ethos, the design decisions all feel very organic, which is kind of, you know, similar to our approach as well. So there seems to be a lot of synergy there. And I think that you guys are thinking many years ahead as well. And it's not just about creating a platform to build distributed applications, but it's really about redefining currency and being able to create deeper wealth. And so I think that I personally haven't seen another project in this space that has that level of depth to it in terms of, you know, the alignment that we're looking for. So for Junto, it seems like a good fit. You know, I'm sure there are other projects that feel the same way as well.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. So yeah, I'd love to just get a sense of where you're at with the project.
Yeah, so we've been working on this for some time. We launched a Kickstarter campaign last year to bring some funding in to get the product out there, and we just did a official launch, you know, a little over a month ago. And so now we've brought on all of the crowdfunders and volunteers, and now we're bringing on the few thousand people on the wait list. So we should have them all on by the end of the summer, so like late September. And yeah, then we'll move into just starting to identify more channels to share this project with in a grassroots manner, and continue to rely on the community to really spearhead the growth of the platform as well, through referrals and invitations as well. So.
God, so okay. Wow, you're really close to a big shift in gears then. Hey?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
You're excited?
Yeah, it's all exciting stuff. I think there's a lot of energy with where things are at. You know, it's different building a concept where, you know, only the internal team is using the app versus having like many more people be able to kind of identify blind spots that you may not have seen, or give interesting feedback or resonate with what you're doing. I think it's, you know, very energizing and very encouraging as well. So.
Yeah, so what's your approach to, I guess, traction and growing the user base? Is it an idea that, you know, you've got a vision for everyone in the world using it and you've got like a master plan to get there, or is it that you want to keep it like small or local, and yeah, what's your vision for it, and then how are you going about realizing that?
Your question was about like strategy?
Yeah.
Nice. You got an upgrade in the background.
Oh, I know.
Some nice tapestry.
There's some, exactly.
Cool. That's what we needed.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in my wife's office. Yeah, much nicer than the Post-its and all the kids' toys.
It's meant to happen this way.
Oh, it had to. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Vision and strategy.
Vision and strategy. Yeah. Well, the vision is to really let this unfold in a very organic way. We're not trying to force anything in terms of like, oh, we want to like bring everyone in the world on the platform. Our goal is just to be really focused on providing the best service that we can and making it as accessible to everyone as much as possible, as inclusive as possible, as diverse as possible. But in terms of, like ultimately people that resonate with the project will come on, and those that don't won't, and that's completely fine. That's part of a big reason why we've open sourced the project as well, and why we're using technology like Holochain, is that, we don't need to be the one size fits all solution. Other people can kind of take it and iterate on it and build their own networks out of it. And that's completely, like, that's part of what we want, actually. So we're just, focused on trying to stay true to our values as long as possible and provide the best product as we can. And those who like what we're doing will be here. And those who get inspired by it and want to build something else out of what we're doing are totally welcome to do that as well. So there's no desire to be like a monopoly or anything. It's, we kind of envision a lot of social networks becoming a lot more interoperable and working together in a more collaborative fashion than this sort of winner takes all dynamic that we see today. But in terms of the strategy of how we get there, I laid a few pieces out, like foundational pieces of making it a nonprofit, having it be open source, using Holochain. But some of the growth strategies that we're looking at are really about making the experience as meaningful as possible to the existing community on the app. And so, like obviously the first people using the platform right now are there because they're enthusiastic about what we're doing for one reason or another. It could be because of we're trying to create a more authentic culture, or it could be because they care more about their agency and digital sovereignty. But in order to really make it meaningful for them, we have to provide ways for them to bring on their existing network. And we hope that, everyone will continue, like new members will be extensions of the existing seed and community at some level. And so right now we have a referral process where each person in the community can invite up to 3 people a week to build their pack, which is ultimately your closest like relational group in Junto, right? And so that's largely what we're emphasizing, is through in-app referrals, trusting the community to be the decision makers and bringing on others that they feel like would be aligned with what we're doing. And then obviously partnering with those who have existing communities and a voice who are aligned with what we're up to help spread the message a little bit more, and then letting a very natural flow of people sign up on our wait list as well, and we'll continue to bring those on.
Cool. And so I'm a user. How will it feel different to me being on Junto rather than being on a large-scale social platform that I'm used to?
Yeah, well, it's hard for me to say that for other people. I'll just have to get you on the app, and you can you can let me know what you think. But my guess and my personal experience, I can only speak to my own story here, is that it'll feel a lot more clean and pure, in the sense of there's not going to be as much noise as when you're on these other platforms. You're not going to feel a lot of the clickbait, a lot of the commercial aspects, a lot of the things that are really trying to capture your attention. I think you're going to feel something that feels a lot more authentic, a place where you can really get to know other people for who they are, a place where there is a deeper level of effort in terms of trying to understand a wide range of perspectives. You're going to be exposed to a lot more perspectives. We don't take into account people's personal data points to try to create this echo chamber for them to only show them what they may agree with, which creates this dangerous pattern of like neuroplasticity of, like only being accustomed to seeing what you want to see. Instead, we expose people to a wide range of truths and we've reduced a lot of the design patterns that foster a competitive and superficial atmosphere. So, for example, like public follower accounts, or like non-verbal reactions that are made public to everyone, like that doesn't exist. Like that's something that is a peer-to-peer type of communication. If I like something that you say, then there's no reason that it should be broadcasted to the rest of the world. Small things like that, and along with a lot of new innovative product features that I'm really excited about seeing in action at a larger scale. So I think the intentionality that we have that we put into the design will really be felt, and that intention is not, it's the opposite of trying to target the vulnerabilities of your human psychology. It's really about how can we facilitate, these higher expressions of our humanity that we're capable of, and really foster, different type of energy on the platform.
Amazing. Is there, I know you don't want to do you can't do a demo, but are there any screens, or is there anything you can show us to give us some examples of that? Don't want to put you on the spot here, but I'd love to see.
Let me see if I can get this thing to work. Just give me one moment.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm going to try to rerun the simulator again and see if I can get it to run. But in the meantime, maybe we can jump into some other topics of discussion.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, I'm so curious. Let's see if the simulator runs, because I'm so curious where you're taking, especially the screens. Just been thinking through my experience on really any app is that the design is very cluttered, and whether they're monetizing I realize they're monetizing my data or not, this idea is you're really trying to fill as much stuff in the space as possible.
Right.
Which is kind of the opposite of a deep human interaction. Like when you get to that place, you're really filling it with as little noise as possible, and it's all connection.
Right.
So I guess what I'm hearing is you're really like bringing that principle to UI, or the user interface and the user experience.
Trying to, yeah. We'll see how. I don't know if we've got it fully figured out, but I think we've got a good start. So let's see if this wants to work or not. Yeah, it looks like I may need to run it in the test environment. So let's just give it one more go. Okay. Mirror built-in display. Aha. So I have an idea. Give me 1 second. Let me just connect this to my phone. Movie recorder. Good time. Moving recording. Okay. So I can actually share my screen and show you what's going on here.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. We can just cut out that ball.
I think this is the best bit. This is great.
People will be super engaged with our mastery of silence.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a nice meditation.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not letting me. I think you need to let me.
I'll make you.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
I think we're good.
We're good.
So you can see. All right. Let me pull it up here. Alrighty. I guess there's no need for people to see my password. All right. So it's a little demo time, I guess, right? So should I just walk through some of the design decisions that we've made, and would that be helpful?
Yes, please. I think people would love to see that.
Yeah. So this is kind of the first screen that you see on Junto. This is what we call the intention screen. It's a new take on like navigation. Instead of having a bottom bar that makes everything super easily accessible, you kind of are brought back to this space every time as a reminder for people to reflect on why you're using the app. And so instead of instantly being dropped into a newsfeed of content that is trying to capture your attention, it's really about, you know, allowing a second or two for people to really reflect on like what they want to use Junto for, right? And so if we go to the collective here, this is really, hold on, let me get Wi-Fi off. Okay. I think I need to get into the better network. All right. Attached. Moment. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Sorry for the technical difficulties. So when we get to the collective here, it's really about, you have your list of perspectives. And a perspective is just a way to view Junto. And so this is actually live right now. This is, what's happening on our current alpha. And so this is what a standard news feed looks like. You'll see that, it's only a preview of the expression rather than it being the full expression with like comments and like reactions and things like that. And so this is our way of encouraging people to really go in and, take a look at what's happening and being present with one thing at a time. And so I have to really open this piece of expression to engage with it. And so this is someone named Daya who's posting. And right now we don't have any.
Hey, Daya.
No, right now we don't have any nonverbal reactions. But when we do introduce them, only the person that's created the expression will be able to see the nonverbal reaction. And so that way it gives people more comfort in knowing that their communication is really one-on-one and not something that everyone in the entire world is going to see, right? And we may be able to identify this in how we use social media right now and how we may refrain ourselves from interacting with a piece of, someone's expression or content because of how other people might perceive our reaction to it, right? And it's, and then we also don't show like all of the comments immediately because this is kind of a theme that has been happening with social media is that we give a lot of our power away to other people and to these corporations. From the highest level, we give our power away in terms of our time, our attention, our data, our well-being, etc. But when it comes to looking at specific people's expressions, we also give our power away in terms of allowing other people to significantly influence what we think about what someone posted. And that's what happens when you immediately see what other people have reacted to a specific piece of content or what other people are saying about something as well. And so that's why we keep it a really clean thing to where the only thing that you see is the original post and to encourage true independent critical thinking. And then when you, based on your own agency, decide to like see what the replies are, you can do that yourself. And again, you're not able to see like what other people have have commented unless you go into it. And then this is essentially like an infinitely nesting comments tree structure as well. So, I can reply to this comment with basic text, or I can choose any of the expression types that we have. So dynamic is a rich text editor, or will be very soon. Right now, it's just in basic like text. Short form is, here's a way for me to respond with like gradients, and it's just like has like a character limit. I can reply with photos, and I can also reply with audio, which has been very cool as well. So with audio, we're really trying to bring that experience that we kind of have on like WhatsApp and text messaging, where we send voice messages to each other to a social media setting, to where that becomes the norm for us to really communicate in a more human way rather than us only communicating through photos or text. It becomes, there's a deeper connection that happens when you can really feel like you're speaking to someone, as we do in real life, right? And over time, these things will expand based off of what the community wants. And so if the community wants to create an expression type for poetry, or if they want to, create an expression type for like screenwriting or all of these different things, we'll work with people who are in those fields and use those tools often to really create the best things for them as well. And in the Holochain context, these can be ultimately like microservice applications that can just be bridged into this essentially like app store of expression types within Junto. And so we're going to be running polls with the community and really we're building a distributed governance mechanism to where the community can really steer the ship and decide like what features do they want to be built next, right? Like what expression types do they want to see? Like what should the design of that look like? And obviously we've enabled open source contributions as well, and anyone that wants to contribute to the development in that manner can do so freely. So that's that's a quick synopsis of how you can share on Junto as well. And the collective is where everyone is basically exists, all people in Junto. That's the largest layer. It's the one collective intelligence. And then you have groups, which will just be public or private groups that we will open pretty soon. Where we want to emphasize a lot of the sharing in the collective and the packs before we make this available for people. And packs are a little more interesting to where, so there's the collective, and then within the collective there's groups, and then the closer layer, even more closer layer, are what we call packs, which are basically like agent-centric communities. So each person in and of themselves are communities as well. And so I have my community of people where they may come from different parts of my life, and they may or may not know each other. But the beauty of what we're trying to do with packs is to bridge those communities together. And so each person is the common thread for all of the people that they know in their pack. And by having their pack essentially so my pack is a place where I can share things privately to just my pack members. And there's also a public section where everything that the people in my pack share publicly automatically get shared here. So anyone in my pack can view my pack, and through me, they're discovering all of these other people and all these other expressions. And it's a far more organic way of creating new relationships and discovering information, because it's through an existing common ground that we both have. Like if we think about how relationships form organically in real life, a lot of them happen through these mutual threads and connections. And so that's what we're really trying to emphasize here. One thing, I guess we can just make the public announcement now. We haven't shared this with the community yet, but since there's no better place to do it on the Holo podcast, I guess. But one of the features that we're doing is in the near future is being able to have each pack member start an instant live audio or video conversation with their pack. And so everyone in their pack will automatically get a notification if they choose to subscribe to that. And it would be basically like an instant Zoom call, right, with your community. And this is, again, emphasizing the way in which people can really meet each other through these mutual connections. And so it's far more meaningful if, let's say, you're in my pack and then I have like 30 other people in my pack and like 10 of them join this instant live chat that I've created. It becomes like a little bit more of a meaningful way for all of us to kind of get to know each other and see how we have come to build these relationships. And so that's the pack feature. And then the final layer is really the den. You may have probably caught on, all of this is within the wolf sort of theme. And my den is essentially, this is my private headspace. This is kind of where I keep all my profile, like where I have all my expressions, the feedback that I'm giving to the community, my replies. Eventually, we're going to build out something called collections, which are essentially albums of expressions. So if I want to create a collection for sustainability, then I can add any of my expressions in that. Or I can also highlight other people's expressions that I like and highlight it in the sustainability expression collection that I've created as well. And so those are the four main layers. There's no AI that takes into consideration how someone uses the app to dictate what they should see. We don't use any microservice analytics like UXCam or Mixpanel to try and track how people are using the app to, and we also don't take into consideration like the the things people like or like their data points to try to create feeds for them. Instead, things are done at a much more global level to where we could try to find information that is relevant based off of activity, and will also enable a highly transparent way of seeing what goes into the algorithms and giving people the option to really decide how they want to customize what each data point gets the most weight in determining those algorithms as well. So that's the longer term vision there. One other exciting feature that's coming out soon is called degrees of separation. So you may have seen this list of perspectives here. You know, there's the Junto perspective, which is everyone on Junto. There's connections, which are first degree connections. So specific people you've established a mutual connection with. Subscriptions are people that I'm following, but may not necessarily know who I am. And I can continue to create my own perspectives as well. So here I've created, like the Junto core group. So it's easy for me to have a feed to see people from only those people as well. And so you have full agency over creating your own experience and your own feeds. You can continue to filter that by as micro as you want based off of each topic. And yeah, so that's kind of the starting point of the app right now. There's a lot more to come in terms of new things that we're doing. And we also have a community center here, which is a place for people to just give feedback on, what's up, what they like about the app, or what, they think can be improved, or like bug spotting and things like that. So it's a way to really have give the community a way to voice their opinion and make sure that there's a feedback loop between their feedback and us actually getting it done. So, so yeah, there you go. Hopefully that was helpful. That's kind of what we build out for an MVP right now.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. It looks stunning.
Yeah, thank you.
It'd be interesting to get a sense of people's inner state while they're using the app.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to be doing a lot of like qualitative and quantitative research to make sure that we're on the right track. That will probably happen more towards the start of the new year, where we are sending out surveys that can really quantify, whether or not these things that we're doing are actually making a difference. So,
do you have an idea of how you would like to see people's behavior shift?
I do. I think if we can move away from a lot of the egocentrism that we see in today's platforms and move towards more things that are of more substance and things that, I mean, it can still be like it can still be pictures of your cats and dogs. Like that's completely, you know what I mean? But it's less about like, look at me and look at this false representation of like what I'm projecting to receive validation, and more about like, this is who I truly am. This is what I really care about. This is what I would like to connect with people on. This is what, I envision for the world, or this is what I'm looking to collaborate with people, like a lot of things that are more useful than the culture of sharing because you're seeking external validation of self-worth, which is, like, I think that a lot of that culture is inspired by the very subtle design decisions that these organizations make. And, you may not, there will be people that understand what we're doing and identify those things and how it can shift that culture. But ultimately the goal is for someone to come in the app and not even be aware of any of it, and they just feel a difference, because what we're catering to is not the instant dopamine hits. It's not the instant gratification. It's not, this excessive external validation. It's more about how can we create a space where people feel free and authentic in their expression, and through that, how can they begin to really create meaningful and genuine relationships with people. And that happens when you have an entirely new style of UX that is fundamentally redesigned and about being aligned with, you know, our well-being, and and again, doing what we can to empower people with ownership of their data and their identity, and giving them their digital sovereignty back, and making sure that the integrity of what we're doing can't be polluted in the long term by the way that we set up these distributed governance mechanisms early on. And by making it open source, and by using Holochain, and making sure that people can't be censored, and making sure that all perspectives and walks of life and modes of speech are protected and acknowledged and respected, rather than taking a punitive angle of trying to censor people and trying to be a centralized source of morality and saying this is right and this is wrong, you know, but instead coming from the framework of understanding, and through that, you know, really trying to bridge these communities and people together. So that's really what we're up to. That's like the goal, you know. That's with the social media platform, at least. There's a few other things that we want to do further down the line, but this is our focus right now. So
Amazing. As you're talking, I was thinking about one of my conscious practices to take photos of my kids while they're screaming or crying and share those, because it's more representative than the photo where we're all lined up as a family and everyone's smiling.
right, yeah, that's I've never heard of that conscious practice before, but I approve of that. That's great.
It's funny though, because it's a lot harder to get the camera out in those moments, and it's almost like the kids are looking like, how dare you interrupt my beautiful tears with a camera, you know? but just, yeah, like, but then capturing and sharing those moments is, yeah, I often like never feel as proud and happy as I see like some massive tears on a screen, and just think, yeah, that was something that wouldn't usually be recorded and shared, but it was a moment of reality for our family. That's like one of the things, you know, that's most beautiful about being a parent, is being present in those moments.
Yeah.
So I could see those being very enjoyable to share on this platform.
Junto.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, if you haven't gotten an invite already, which I'm surprised you didn't, then I'll make sure that you're on by the end of this, after this call.
Super. All right. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. That was the demo was absolutely wonderful. Thank you. Just, is there anything for people to expect? You said that there's a big update coming soon. Any times, dates, or anything for people to be aware of and paying attention to?
Yeah, so this is a very new development, actually. Maybe we could get your support with this, but we want to take our community building and our grassroots support to the next level. And we are, so, over the course of the next 2 months, we'll be bringing the rest of the people on the waitlist on. And towards the beginning of October, we're going to be launching another crowdfunding campaign. And so, we see this as an opportunity to, again, raise the funding for Junto in a manner that is truly distributed, and to also have the runway that we need to carry us until we're fully sustainable off of our revenue model that we're launching at the start of the new year. And also a way for us to really spread this message now that we have something more tangible in people's hands, like a product that people are using, to just continue to build on this momentum. So that will be happening towards beginning of October. I think that anything that this community can do to support those efforts, whether it's just simply sharing a link with someone, or telling a friend about the project, or signing up for the wait list, or donating $5, things like that, we'd be, you know, that would be much appreciated. So, and then organizationally, I think if we could find some way to share our efforts with Junto through the reach that you guys have as well, and maybe even introduce us to some folks that may be able to expand those networks, that would be, you know, that would be helpful.
Okay, super.
So that's the larger update on our end, and yeah, in the meantime, it's just chipping away at some bugs and trying to get the trying to get the product to where I'd like it to be. So
super. All right, Eric, thank you so much for joining, and look forward to having you back in a few months and getting maybe a crowdfunding update and seeing where the product is and seeing some of the user experiences and stories, and yeah, seeing what it's like to have a couple of thousand people on the platform.
sounds great, man. Thank
Amazing.
you for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, thank you so much.